Passion Week. Today is Thursday, the day of the Lord's table, Passover meal. The day that Jesus gives a ordinance for us to do, to continually remember what he's done for us. The meal starts by Jesus washing the disciples' feet. No one would step up and do it, and so Jesus, teaching them to be a servant, gets up and washes each of their feet. And I imagine it's a stunned silence as he's going around till he gets to Peter. And he gives them this lesson. He said, what I've done, you need to do for one another. You need to serve one another and help one another. It's also at this meal that he describes that he will be betrayed and kind of says who is going to be. He told them specifically, but they didn't get it. He said, the one who puts his hand in the cup with me, or the bread, dips his hand in the bowl with me at the same time, that's who will betray me. Probably sometime in the meal they didn't recognize that it was Judas that did it, but maybe Judas and Jesus at the same time, and I wonder if they locked eyes. And Jesus looked at him and said, what you do quickly. Could only imagine the turmoil in Judas's heart as the Savior gives him this command. And Judas gets up and leaves, and the rest of them thought that Jesus was just talking about some kind of financial responsibility that Judas the treasurer had to do. Jesus institutes the Lord's table here, where he takes the bread, picks it up and tears it. And he says to them, this is a picture of my body. It's broken for you. It'll be torn for you. And what I want you to do is each one of you take it, and you're taking me as you take this. Then took the cup off the table and said, this is a picture of my blood. And by taking this, you are allowing my blood. You are saying symbolically, my blood is covering you. So each of you take this. And they passed around that single cup, and each of them took a sip of the cup. Jesus finished, and he told them, make certain you do this to remember me continually. He then led them away and said, let's go to the garden. And there in the garden, Jesus begins to pray. And he asked the disciples, would you pray with me? This is an intense time. He's hours from being crucified. Maybe within 12, 13 hours, he will be hanging on the cross. Less than that, he'll be hanging on the cross. So Jesus pours out his heart. Lord, is it possible let this cup pass from me? And it says, as he prayed, it was so intense. The sweat was like drops of blood coming out of him. And he comes back to the disciples who he implored, please pray for me, and finds them all asleep. Wakes them, can you please hold this up for me? Finally, the third time he comes back to them and they're still asleep, he said, it's time for my betrayer. And Judas comes with his soldiers, probably about midnight, the very end of the day, the beginning of the next day, and betrays Jesus with a kiss. You want to find out more about this, you can read it in Matthew chapter 26, verses 17 to 46. Give the entire account for this. It's a very intense time, very important time. Maundy Thursday, the day our Savior prepared for his death.